Hello and welcome to this episode of the DX Mentor, a recap of the DXpedition to Swains Island. Thank you for joining us. I'm Bill, AJ8B. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. We have a back catalog of over 40 episodes covering many aspects of DX in both podcast and YouTube format. Please check us out. If you like what you find, please subscribe and like the episodes that you really like in particular. And if you don't, please drop me a note at thedxmentor@gmail.com. I just want to get better at this and try to find things that you'll be interested in. I received an email from Mark, AA5TA. Mark gave me an update on his DX standing and his quest for TT8RR, Chad. Mark, I hope you worked them. Thank you for your email and your kind comments. I would also like to apologize to an old friend of mine who I used to work with at Hewlett-Packard. When leaving a restaurant this week in a hurry to go to a Heart concert for my birthday, it's a great reason to be in a hurry, Dale, K9NN, grabbed me to say hello. I quickly said hello and then I had to leave. In retrospect, I felt badly about kind of just brushing Dale off. So Dale, when you hear this podcast, please accept my apologies, and I do hope to catch up with you soon, maybe on the air. I attended the DX dinner on Friday night at Hamvention, the dinner sponsored by Southwest Ohio DX Association, which, by the way, is one of our sponsors, and they had over 400 attendees. It was really fabulous, and I have two announcements to make as a result of attending the DX dinner. The first is that W3UR Bernie was inducted into the CQDX Hall of Fame. He's operated from two all-time new DXCC entities, E44 in Gaza, Palestine, and 4 Whiskey in Bakar, East Timor. Other DXpeditions with which he has participated include A61AJ, AH3 Delta, OH0-W3UR, VU4AN, YU8-OH2R, 8 Papa 9UR, J77A, and V47UR. He's also been a guest operator multiple times at the United Nations Amateur Radio Club 4U1UN. Bernie enjoys the DXCC Challenge, of which he's well over 3,000 now, Islands on the Air, and other special award programs. However, wrote his nominator, quote, Bernie's off-the-air accomplishments prompted this nomination, end quote. Bernie has served as editor of the How's DX column in QST for many years. He publishes the Daily DX and has so since 1997, the Weekly DX since 2001. This is a combined total of 76 years as a DX writer, editor, and publisher. There are a few other people in the amateur radio community with Bernie's institutional knowledge and encyclopedic understanding of the DX world. He combines this with a solid grasp of journalistic principles, making him a trusted go-to source for DX news. In addition to all of this, Bernie has been a good friend, coach, and confidant to me, and I think that this honor was long overdue. Congratulations to Bernie, W3UR. The second announcement was that the W8S DXpedition to Swains Island was recognized as the 2023 SWODXA DXpedition of the Year. At the time of our recording, we did not know that this would be the case. However, I'm really happy to bring this to you in such a timely fashion. Congratulations to the W8S team. The W8S DXpedition to Swains took place between October 4th to the 17th, 2023. The 10 operators made about 90,000 QSOs on 160 through 6 meters on CW, sideband RTTY, and FT8. So, to commemorate this great accomplishment and again to say congratulations to them, let's proceed. Our guests today are Adrian, KO8SCA, Johannes, PA5X, and Joe, W8GEX. Without any further delay, let's get started. Well, hello and welcome to the latest edition of the DX Mentor podcast. I'm Bill, AJ8B, and I'm telling you, we're so excited today. Joe and I can't stand it. I'd like to read, though, a press release that came out about 8 months ago, and this will get us started. Quote, from October 4th, 2023 until October 17, 2023, an international team of 10 operators will be active from Swains Island as W8S. QRV on all HF bands and CW, sideband, FT8, and RTTY with 6 stations from 2 separated camps. So we have with us today Adrian, KO8SCA, and Johannes, PA5X-ray, in addition to Joe, W8GEX. So Joe, why don't you get us started with a quick introduction, and then we'll get it to the other guys.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm just tickled to death to talk to these guys because I was on Swain several years ago, always been a DXer, and all this stuff is just right up my alley. And we're talking to two great DXers here today, so it's going to be a good show.
Okay, Adrian, you've been with us before, but not from Swains, of course. KO8SCA. How have you been, and how are you?
Hello from New York. Thanks for having me. I've been great, enjoying life to the fullest. Been to some great places recently and planning to go in a few more.
And we're hoping you can share that planning to go with us here by the end. So, and Johan, is it Johan? Is that okay? PA5 X-ray. I've not met you before, but I really appreciate you making your schedule to be with us.
Thank you, Bill. Yes, that's fine. You can call me Johan or Johannes. So, yeah, I'm happy to be here with you tonight, with you guys, and happy to talk about our great adventure in Swains. Thanks for having us.
Sure. Well, how did you get started in ham radio, and then how did you get started into this whole DX thing?
Well, that's a good question. So actually, I think as a child, I was always fascinated by a neighbor who had a ham radio station. I picked up the hobby only much later, though. I was always fascinated by electronics and technology, and I have a job in a technical field. But only, let's say, about 10 years ago, I really started thinking back about my youth and about things from the past. And I realized, wow, that was a cool thing, that whole ham radio. Then I started picking it up, got my license. Then I was lucky to, with my job, to working abroad, being active from Charlie 9 as Charlie 91 Papa Alpha from Mozambique, and later on a couple of years in Mauritania as 5 Tango 5 PA. So that's where most of people know me from, and that's how I kicked off. And then, yeah, the DXing started, yeah, well, being, let's say, operating from DX locations myself. And then I got, let's say, hooked.
And that was it.
Yes.
Okay, Adrian, how'd you get started?
Well, I was maybe 8 or 9 years old. My dad gave me a book called Kon-Tiki. This is some about a Norwegian guy traveling on a balsa raft from South America to the Polynesia. And in any case, the part of the book that amazed me was the fact that they had a ham radio station there to keep in touch with the mainland. And I said to myself, this is something that I want to do. A couple of years later, I passed my exam. I got my license. And I think I was about 15. I heard this station on the air, Zulu Alpha 1 Alpha. Didn't know what country was that. Didn't know any country in Europe with a Z. In any case, I worked it, and turns out behind that call sign was a DXpedition run by the famous Marty Lane, or H2BH. The guys at the club explained me what a DXpedition is, and um, you know what's involved, and I was so excited about it. I went back home and I told my parents that don't want to go to college. I don't want to do anything else, but I want to go on the expeditions. Of course, they were not of the same opinion as me, so took a while until I was able to do so. Had to, go to college, and life takes over. But then when I came back to the hobby, I remembered what I really wanted to do when I was a kid and started to do it. And today I'm up to 31 DXpeditions. The last one was Whiskey 8 Sierra at Swains Island.
Very good. We might stop here and see if you can bring your audio up a little bit.
Okay, is that better or?
That's right there better, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess
And of course I can edit that. So, I'd like to encourage everyone to go to the website because there's some really interesting videos. And one of them, Adrian, is about a 6-meter contact you made, the first 6-meter. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Yes. We set up the stations on Swains Island, and for HF we started going, and one of the last tasks was to set up the 6-meter antenna. We wanted to do the first EME contacts from Swains Island, first one ever. It took a lot of effort. You know, EME antennas are very large, the ones for 6 meters, and took a lot of effort. Swains, it's a very hot and although idyllic environment. And so after a few days of trying to make QSOs on 6 meters, we almost gave up. But right that day, when one of my colleagues took that little video, we were able to make the first QSO, and then you remember that old adage that says never give up.
Yes.
And so when the first QSO came on the air, then I was so excited. I forgot all the pain and the troubles we went through, you know, I and a few others in the team to get the 6 meters up and running. And, you know, by the end of the expeditions, we had a few hundred 6 meters QSO in a log, and we made a lot of people happy.
Wow. Well, just so I spread the love around, Johan, you had an interesting QSO on 20 meters where you just wanted to get spotted. What happened?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, it was actually surprising that although we have, let's say, notified our calling frequencies on the website, and you would think that everybody's, or at least somebody's listening there, but it wasn't the case. And even on 20 meters, I recall this. It was on the 12th of October when we were active, and I was trying to get, let's say, any pilot going. Nobody was there as on our frequency, so I started to tune to another frequency, and I could hear Paul Thompson, Echo Alpha 5 Juliet Zulu, and I heard him 5/9, and I thought, wow, this is unreal. How is it possible that nobody's listening to us? So I broke into his conversation, but at first I was overhearing his conversation, and he was talking to another ham that he was really desperate to work Swains, and that it wasn't at now for him. So that was really funny. So I thought, okay, this is Swains calling you, Paul. And at first he didn't believe it was a genuine call, but I explained who I was, and then he was really happy, and we got him and Atno, and we got spotted on the cluster and got the pilot going.
That's really cool.
Good.
I have to admit, if that was me, I wouldn't have believed it. I thought it was Joe or somebody. Of course, you log them and worry about it later, right? But
Yeah.
Sure.
so how did you pick Swains? Or why did you pick Swains?
Well, to be honest, it wasn't picked by me. I was just fortunate enough to be invited. I think the Swains story started more than 6 years ago with the other team members, actually with Hans and with
Gerben.
but it started with Hans DL6 GGN and Ronald Papa Alpha 3 Echo Whiskey Papa. Those were the guys who were somehow in contact with the owner of Swains, with Alex Jennings from the Jennings family, and they started to get in contact and managed to get us there, to be honest. And then they started to compile a team, and then we ended up together with this great team, and we went there. And obviously during the preparations I was even in contact with Joe, Whiskey 8 Golf Echo X-ray, to talk about 60 meters and about the conditions on Swains before we went there.
So what was the island like compared to, any other locations you've been to? Joe has always just, the first thing out of his mouth is, it was just hot. Adrian, what would you say?
Well, the island is, as you know, is a private island, and there's an uninhabited island starting in about 1965, when before that the island was a copra plantation. Copra is the meat of the coconuts, which is used for different products. And in any case, in 1965, approximately, the market collapsed. So everybody left the island, so it hasn't been inhabited since then. And if you look from afar, the island looks very idyllic. It's like taken out of one of these stories in the Pacific. It's full of coconut trees, but once you get on the island, you feel that that idyllic images kind of get distorted by the incredible heat and the mosquitoes these two components really makes it kind of unbearable, especially for city boys like us. Um, Now, some of the people that joined us into this trip organized by Alex Jennings, the owner of the island, they were born on the island, so they were used to this type of environment. But for us, is hot. I would say, my experience, it was the hottest place I ever been to.
Wow. Holy cow. Um, what about, so how was your team? You had a great team, and I went through the list. It looked like I probably heard of almost everyone on the team, and boy, it just looked like a terrific group.
Well, so the team was made up of team members, 10 team members. There were three from Germany, two from North America, and the rest from the Netherlands. As Johannes has mentioned, the team leader Hans has been negotiating with the owner quite a bit for quite a few years. We had a lot of back and forth, and we're almost about to go there, but then a measles struck the island, and so the borders closed for everyone. That passed a year later. Then we had the boat that services the islands in the area had to be repaired, so the trip was on hold for another year or two. After that, we had COVID, and everything stopped at a standstill for another 2 years, and then we were about to go. Everybody was excited. So the initial team that started kind of modified a little bit, as things have changed in our lives, and just like Johannes, I was invited to be part of the team, and so the team really got together very nicely. Quite a few team members are from the Netherlands, and that was quite an advantage because most of these team members from Netherlands met met the Netherlands to set up the equipment and the antennas and pack everything. You need multiple tons of equipment to put the expeditions like this together. You need backups over backups, and one of the things that I have to say is that overall I was impressed at how well the team worked together. Every one of us had some kind of a skill that the other didn't. But when you put it all together, it was a very well-rounded team. We had incredible antenna experts. So we had no issues at the networking, and we had the internet on the island. Actually, made the first ever live broadcast from Swains Island. I think DX Engineering we were part of their show. And so a lot of things have happened, and overall things worked out great. And I think the main reason for that is because of the skills of the team
Wow,
that
great.
the team leaders put together.
So, Yonan, how many stations did you have? I was trying to find that out.
Well, we had we were
operational with 6 stations. So we had 2 camps, and each camp had 3 stations. So we had a red camp and a blue camp, and then we had an additional 7th station for the 6-meter AME and a 6-meter terrestrial. So we were active most of the time with well, depending on how many people we had a schedule with operators, always 4 stations active, but at sometimes we were operational with even more stations.
Wow. So, and this question's for either one of you. Did you run into any challenges you didn't expect?
As always.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think and if you look up the expedition in the dictionary, there's a section there that says expect the unexpected. There's always something going on. The expeditions are not really high budget items. It's so you always try to accomplish as much as possible with a small budget. The downside to that is a lot of things could happen. Now you have a high tide and it washes out uh, you know your operating positions, but if you prepare for that, one part or another you repair. You have wind that knocks up the antennas, well, you put them up and repair them if you have spare parts. um, you know the, it's the biggest, I think, in my opinion, the biggest challenge we had once the DXpedition started was the fact that our boat schedule was completely moved or canceled, I should say. You know, we've gotten to American Samoa. We're told that we're lucky that the hurricane season just ended and we arrived just in time for good weather. The downside to that is that the boat that was supposed to take us to Swains, now the schedule was totally moved. That boat services the islands around American Samoa, and so had real priorities compared to a bunch of hams going for the pileups. And so we were told that we have to wait at least a week or two until we can get going.
Oh,
And so that was unacceptable. The scheduling is connected to a lot of things, when it comes to the equipment shipping, our operators, we're normal people having a job and a family, so you can't just sit there for 2 weeks and move the DXpedition that easily. And so we pleaded with some local governments. We even got to interview at the local radio station, and if there's a will, there's a way. And so we're able to move the schedule. We only lost about 2 days
wow.
of operating. So in the end, things worked out, but there were some really tough moments there when we didn't know how things were going to turn out. But then once you get on the island, there's always something going on. And again, the expedition is not a vacation, and you have to expect the unexpected as part of the preparation procedures. The expedition takes at least 6 months to a year, if not more. And the ones like ours, which is pretty rare entity, takes a few years to prepare, and that's what basically happens during the preparation stage. You are thinking, what if this happens? What if that happens? So you get prepared. You can't just show up there and say, "Oops," you know.
Yeah, that's right. Joe, you've had a couple where you weren't things weren't as planned as well as they could have been, right?
Well, yeah, there's always something. Adrian, can you move your mic up closer? Yeah, real close would really, really help. Yeah, Swains was a different little adventure for me. The heat was just unbearable, I thought, and the whole crew did. And I really had a hard time when we was organizing our trip. I asked the previous 2 trips if any of them would want to go back, and none of them would go back. They said, no, we don't ever want to go back to that place. And mainly because of the heat. We always have good team members, and the food was outstanding, but boy, that heat I thought was just terrible. And you couldn't sleep at night because it's hot 24/7. It was in the upper 90s at night, we found out. I had a digital thermometer. So I missed part of Adrian's information, or Bill. I apologize. So maybe his audio will be better now for me.
Yeah, and I'll work on it afterwards.
Oh, okay, you can do
Yeah,
that. Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
So, Johan, did you have expectations of success when you went over there? I mean, Adrian, when we talked last year, he said one of his expectations, which I guess I never thought about, was that we want to get there and get back safely, or that's one of his goals, right? And that's really, really a smart goal that I never really thought about because I've never thought about going anywhere. But so overall, did you have some things in mind you hope to achieve, and do you think you all achieved them? I've found online the most I could find was like 92,000 QSOs, I think, something in that neighborhood.
Yes, Bill. Well, that's obviously one of our goals was to make as many QSOs as possible and give as many ADNOs as possible. I think we did our fair share to achieve that. With the QSOs, as Adrian mentioned, we had a short delay, so we actually, our aim was obviously to reach 100,000, which we could have achieved if we weren't delayed for 2 days. That's a bit unfortunate, but yeah, as apart from or specifically about the goals, I think yeah, one of my goals was to really make it a team effort and to involve everybody and to go there as a team and leave as a team. And I think that is one of the goals that we achieved. Just to elaborate a little bit on that, before we did all the when we were busy with all the preparations, we had weekly meetings on teams from different time zones. We all managed to catch up together, and we had a really well prepared. We were really well prepared. We also had organized an antenna building day here in the Netherlands, where also some of the German DXs came, and we were practicing how to assemble the antennas that we would use on Swains. So that was really worked out really well. And another thing that we did in the preparations was I was involved in that, sending out a survey to all of the participants. What do we want? Which hours do you want to operate? Do you want to work long shifts, short shifts? Which modes? So we had a really, let's say, a good assembly of the team, and we made pairs together. And I think the team effort was very important and paid off really well. So that's one of the goals that was achieved.
Okay.
What kind of radio equipment did you have, Johannes?
We all had, let's say, the K3s and the SPE Expert 1.3, and I believe 1.5. And then there was 2 RF kits, which were donated to us by RF Kit to be used during the DXpedition. And Adrian brought a Flex, which was hooked up to the RF kit for the EME.
Good.
So Adrian, is that the amplifier that you're using when you make that EME contact then?
That's correct. RF Kit was nice enough to provide us with 2 of their amplifiers. They are rated for 2 kilowatts. One of the things that the out of the business RF Kit told us is please push this amplifier to the limit. We want to show the world that these are really reliable for the expeditions, and they really work, especially in the hard conditions of Swains Island, in particular the heat and the sand. And we said, yeah, we were be happy to push it, and so we did. And we left the island with 2 still working amplifiers. We did push close to 1.5 kilowatt for the EME, and that was fine by us. It worked pretty well, and so we're very happy with how they worked out, and we're really thankful to the RF Kit for providing those amplifiers to us.
And then your antennas, what kind of antennas did you have?
For the EME, we use the 10-element 6-meter beam. We had a lot of, for the HF, we had a lot of VDA antennas, monobanders right on the beach. Those antennas were exceptional, unbelievable efficiency. Obviously, when you put these antennas right on the beach, right next to the salt water, this is the recipe for the best antenna to have on the DXpedition. For the other bands, we had verticals for 160, for 80, for 60 meters, and we had a really good hexa beam, which was easy to install, and that was a tri-bander for 20, 15, and 10. This is an exceptional antenna for the expeditions. It goes up in less than an hour. Worked really well. It's basically a Yagi antenna, a beam made up of elements using regular wire, and that makes it very portable and light. It's one of the antennas that resisted the high winds, and we didn't have to repair. And we had plans to put receiving antennas, but we didn't need to. There was no noise on the island. There obviously nobody lives on the island, so there's no human-made RF noise like other places that we've been to before.
Wow, what a luxury that is, huh? So, Johan, one of the things that we try to do on this podcast is touch on those things that, the DXer sitting at home doesn't realize. So one thing we always talk about is, I just worked you guys on all the bands I wanted. I'm going to go off and work something else. But you still have, you got to work the rest of the time. You have tear down. You've got to get back. You've got to get work caught up, family caught up. You've got to get the equipment back to everybody. But another thing I don't think we've ever talked about was the job of the pilot stations. So did you have one or a few pilot stations, and what kind of stuff do they run into?
Okay, yes, we had basically, I believe, 5 different pilot stations from all the continents. And we had set up a WhatsApp group. So the feedback from the pilots came straight back to me in this case on the island, where I was able to share it with the other team members. So the pilots, well, they ran into, let's say, well, basically giving us the right advice to make sure that we would be at the right time at the right band, and especially for the low bands, only very short openings towards Europe, to make sure that we were there and get the feedback how well we were heard there, and yeah, to give us some guidance in that. And I think that the pilots did a great job. They gave us really good feedback, and it worked out very well. This way of communicating around the clock to get the knowledge in.
So they receive all the abuse that people can't give you because, like, I can't break the pile up on 160 with my 100 watts. So I need you to do something about it, right? So they contact the pilot then.
Yes, indeed. They took that on their shoulders, indeed.
Yes. Well,
So talking about 160, how did you do on 160?
Specifically on 160, well, I know it was, let's say, not really the right time of the season.
Yes.
We did well, I think, towards North America, but towards Europe, it was it's a very hard or impossible. So yeah, we did well within the region, and of course North America, Japan, VK. But yeah, other than that, it was difficult.
Yes.
Yeah,
As
the
always.
common darkness between Swains Island and Europe at that time of the year is less than 15 minutes. So the chances to make a 160-meter QSO with Europe at that period of time from Swains, it is close to impossible. So most of our 160-meter QSOs were made with North America.
wow. So Joe asked these other guys, would you two go back?
I'll go for an adventure, although there's some, there are 340 entities out there. I'd rather focus on new ones, because the excitement of a new one always compensates some of the pain that you inflict on yourself when you go to some of these harsh environments.
Wow. So
Yeah,
are
well,
you,
I would go back, but I would also, as Adrian mentioned, I would also prefer to go to a new destination. But Swains wasn't that bad, although it was pretty tough.
but if I could get you invited to P5, would you go?
For sure.
So overall, it sounds like it was terrific. It was a terrific DXpedition. The numbers are great. All the feedback I read was great. So congratulations to both of you and the whole team. And that includes the people that were there and the pilots and everyone else. It just looked like a terrific effort. And I was one of your Atnos, so I was happy with that. So I didn't get a chance to work Joe 10 years ago because I don't know where I was, but I did get to work you guys, so I was very appreciative of that. So where do you go next? I know you're not satisfied with staying home.
Well, looks like we're going to be going to Peter the First in 2026. We're now in the process of doing the initial work, which is signing the contract with the boat to take us there. Peter the First is a place where you cannot land by boat because the ice pack around the island is existing more, 365 days a year. So you have to have helicopters, but when you involve helicopters, you have to have two of them, second one for backup. So a boat with 2 helicopters, it's a challenge, and especially when this is not a governmental funded endeavor. It's going to be a challenge in itself, raising the money. But we will be putting a lot of effort into it, and I'm sure we'll figure things out. And we'll probably be announcing officially soon enough with more details.
Okay. And Johannes, are you staying home? Are you going anywhere you can tell us about?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, as you know, some of the things have to be classified for some time. I
Yep.
can reveal that I am working with Adrian on something special, but I can't reveal yet what it exactly is.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
So if someone's still, they realize they're listening to this now and they go, I should have sent those guys 20 or 30 or $50. I worked them on, 15 band slots and I can help them out. How can they do that? Let's talk about Swains first. Can they still do that?
Well, we have a website, and that has all the information there is regarding this particular project and a lot more. Even details of and diagrams of the station setup, details about this private island, and many, many details, including a donation page. Remember that the rule with the expeditions is that the operators fund half of the project, and then the community and the clubs fund the second half. So, but the more, the less expense on the operator side, the more funds they would have to go to the next the expedition. And so every little bit of help does make a big difference, because you're helping the very people that you actually make this hobby great and keep these rare entity on the air. Remember, it's very easy to go to a Caribbean island, but going to places like Swains or Peter the First, and these entities are rare for good reason. They're rare because they're expensive, they're hard to get to, it's tough to get licenses, and when you put it all together, you really um, have to think that this is that the operators put a lot of effort into getting them on the air.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, if I hope anyone listening, they will do that, because I do know it's a burden and every little bit helps. Now, what about Peter the First? As part of your announcement, can you start taking donations then?
We have started a website. Some of the team that's going to Peter the First will make another attempt to Bouvet in 2025. So the website is 3yankee0kilo.com, and that has some details about the Peter the First the expedition, as well as the next Bouvet one.
Okay. So I will make sure that's in the show notes. Do you prefer the sub-zero environments to the 90-degree environments, or?
I think the temperature is not a factor. What matters is the team that makes it the expedition. It's because that creates memories of a lifetime. Of course, the pileups, but and also for me, at least, is the higher up in in the DX log most wanted list, the better it is. But it's adventure is friendships, and I think in the end, the expeditions are about the people that form the team, and not the temperature or the equipment or whatever else you might think of. Although each makes, cuts a dent into the excitement.
Right, right. Johan, anything you want to close with, or anything I forgot?
Well, no, I really appreciate us to be able to share our story on your podcast and on your channel. It's really nice to reflect back. It's been a lot of effort to put together to let's say make it all happen. And I agree with you. I believe that although I was a participant, it was a good success. It was a great success, and I hope it's being appreciated by the DX community. And yeah, I'm planning to come to Dayton Hamvention this year and meet some of you and yeah, get some more feedback and make plans for the next DXpedition, Bill.
Yeah, well, Joe and
Bill,
I'll be. Go ahead, Joe.
you need to sell him a dinner ticket to the DX dinner.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll be at the DX dinner and the DX forum, so I'm sure we'll see you sometime that weekend. So, Adrian, anything you want to close with that I missed?
Well, I just wanted to add that the team made an incredible effort to get Swains Island on the air. It's probably going to be a long time until the next one shows up, probably 15, 20 years from now, because these type of efforts are incredibly expensive. And I think one of the biggest achievements of the team that I wanted to mention is the fact that we're able to equally devote time and QSOs to the big areas of the globe, meaning that 30% of our QSOs were with North America, another 30% with the Europe, and another 30% with Asia.
Wow.
To keep it at this exact percentage, meaning make everyone happy, it really, really took a lot of effort of, keeping and taking advantage of the propagation. It's a lot of attention to detail, and you cannot make it unless the team works together like a perfect unison to get that accomplished. So we thank you everyone for responding to our pileups, and I hope to hear you guys from the next one.
Well, we appreciate you being on the other end. Joe, what did I miss?
Well, you didn't miss a thing. And guys, I think we all really, really appreciate your time on Swains, because it can be a difficult place. Be sure and tell all your team members that we appreciate their efforts as well. And we'll need to do it again.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate your time. I really, really do. I appreciate the effort. Like I said, not enough people think about all the preparation, all the travel, the operating while you're there. And I know you say it's all part of it and it makes it part of the experience, but it's also a heck of a burden, and that part should be appreciated also. So we try to get the word out, and I appreciate it, and I respect the heck out of you guys for doing what you do. So I'm looking forward to seeing you at Dayton, and we can shake hands and get a picture. So 7-3 for now. It sounds like I'll have you on again here in the next year or so. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you.
73 from New
Yeah.
York.
Thank you. 73 from Papa Alpha. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Was that exciting or what? Again, congratulations to the W8S team for receiving the 2023 DXpedition of the Year award. And as Adrian pointed out on Saturday at the DX Forum, Swains Island is the only destination that's ever received the DXpedition of the Year twice. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the DX Mentor. I would like to thank our sponsors, ICOM America, the Daily DX, DX Engineering, and the Southwest Ohio DX Association. You won't find anyone more committed to DX than these sponsors. I would certainly like to thank our guests today, Adrian, K08SCA, Johan, PA5X, and Joe, W8GEX. And we want to send our congratulations again along to the entire W8S team for receiving the 2023 DXpedition of the Year award, and to Bernie, W3UR, for being inducted into the CQDX Hall of Fame. I would love to have your feedback, answer your questions, and provide help with any DX or amateur radio issues that you may have. If you need clarification on something or you just have a question, email me at thedxmentor@gmail.com. Please drop me a line if you've achieved an all-time new one, you've received recognition, or you have a DX event that you would like us to mention. We would be happy to do that. If you are enjoying these DX Mentor episodes, please hit the subscribe button. You can also click like if you found this one particularly interesting. If you really don't want to subscribe, just drop me a note and let me know why, please. You can reach me again at thedxmentor@gmail.com. 7-3 for this episode, and thanks to my XYL, Karen, for her love and support. I'll see you in the pileups.